All right. Spawning in the bottom right position as our red Terran player. He had a pretty solid game number 1. Lost, I think, overextended a bit much on his poke in game number 2. He's teamless. He is aLive. And spawning in our top left position, so some really great Warp Prism drop harass, something you don't see as often at Protoss players these days. He's green and he's from Rox.Kis. He is Fraer. And I have to say, Fraer's build choice for Entombed Valley wasn't bad at all. It's one of those maps with a much larger ramp from the natural towards the rest of the map, so it allows force fields to be a little bit more useful. There's a lot more surface area to cover. A Terran player can't choke it off as easily and prevent any kind of scouting. And the other thing was, you know, aLive went for that pressure because maybe he thought, okay, there could be a 7-minute base. A very popular build in the meta for Nexus Firsts, at least, is about a 7-minute, 30-second third. You know, just trying to be really greedy and abuse an opponent that tries to go triple command center to counter that build. But Fraer wasn't so greedy at all. Got his gateway units up pretty quickly. And yeah, he picked a pretty great build. aLive was not expecting what came at him, especially with that lack of bunker. But all in all, this series had a pretty good start so far. Keep in mind, this is best of 5, so whoever gets 3 wins first will win. This is the first match of today. We have Vortex playing as well. These players will be rotating through, so after this, I believe we're going to bring Vortex in to play either Rox.Kis or aLive, either play Fraer or aLive. Not 100% sure which of those just yet, but keep you posted. And we have that orbital command center, so it's going to be another gasless expand from aLive. And I think this is okay, but he's maybe he just wants to collect his nerves, be like, okay, well, I'm not going to push anymore. I'm going to try to play this as smart as I can and not run into the same issues that I had the last game. Meanwhile, Fraer is going for a standard 1-gate play, but he's going to go for a second gas relatively quickly, so he could be trying to put on some aggression. He scouted this fast expand again from aLive, and this Marine, he's going to shut down this probe, but the probe's going to know, okay, well, aLive, you're trying to fool me again. I saw you didn't have any gas in your base. You had a lot of SCVs. The last time you did this, you went for the fast expand like last game, so I am on top of this. And aLive is actually going to engineering may block the natural, but did he scout that second gas from Fraer? No, he does not know. He's expecting Fraer to go for the economic play. Fraer will play into this. He'll send a probe down to fight that SCV at the engineering bay, and he will have his Stalker attack. But generally speaking, if a Protoss player gets a Stalker before a Zealot, it's very hard to kill an engineering bay. So typically the Terran player, if they see, okay, you don't have a Zealot, I'm going to build an engineering bay, delay you from placing that expansion. But Fraer isn't that worried about this because his mineral income is not that high because he went for the second gas. And I really feel like aLive should have ran over there to scout the main base gas before heading over to scout the natural expansion. So it looks like Fraer does want to expand with this, but we could see him throw on tech at any moment. He could just be playing this economically, maybe get a sentry afterwards, but 2 Stalker opening is generally a tiny sign of aggression. And there we go. The engineering base gone, but 2 more gateways are being thrown down, and this is going to be a little bit scary. I wonder if the SCV's vision across the rocks would be able to see that, but in the meantime, we have aLive going for that very, very standard follow-up once again. He's got his double gas, he's got his additional double racks. We'll see a tech lab and stim start very soon, but ooh, I don't know if that's, you can't see that Stalker, but 4 gateways now, so it's going to be 2 base. Actually, it's just going to be a regular 4-gate with double gas. So this is going to be a little more scary of the variety of 4 gates. We have a Marine heavy opener coming out of aLive. He's going to move onto the field again. This could be disastrous. The probe's placing a proxy pylon outside the natural, and this is actually really scary. He can warp in a bunch of Stalkers. Stalkers are great versus Marines. There are no Marauders on the field. These Stalkers are going to run up the ramp. The Marine's going to step forward. He might be able to catch one of them. Fraer needs to pull it back. It's got 17 hit points left. Barely manages to save it. Good catch there. And a Twilight Council being started by Fraer. I think this is going to come in after the main push, though. He's going to want to warp in the Stalkers first. Trying to poke away as much as he can. But he could actually warp in Stalkers or Zealots right here and then just catch these Marines completely off guard. There we go. 4 Stalkers being warped in now. And I was wondering, oh my goodness, he's not going to be able to block him out. Bunker is now starting. There is a Marauder, and I think I think Fraer is taking a little too much time with this. I don't think he has time to wait for Blink, in all honesty. He doesn't have a Mothership Core. He can't just get high ground vision and just run up there. He needs to put on pressure now if he wants to do this. If he's going to push into the back door, that's, and he needs to go now. There we go. The Stalkers are beginning to fire upon these back rocks. This is going to be a very crucial play. Now, the Marine actually does get in this base. He's going to see, oh, you have double gas. You have a Twilight Council. Maybe you didn't take that expansion after all, but the probes are going to get that Marine. So, not too much done. And a Dark Shrine follow-up. Fraer, I don't even know what you're doing, man. This is a crazy build. He's opened 4 gateways into Twilight Council. Typically, you get the Twilight Council before your gateways finish up so that you can line your Blink up with your push. But this is just a really meaty push, actually. He's got a lot of units more than anything else. He's going to take out the supply depot. Supply blocking aLive. There is a bunker, though, and we have 4 Marauders. So I think aLive should be able to hold this off pretty well with repairs. There are no sentries here. There's actually another bunker on the high ground there, so I think aLive dealt with this pretty well. Fraer, I don't know. This was a very, it seems like he wasn't 100% sure what he wanted to do. Maybe he felt that this was going to be a little bit greedier out of aLive, but I think that Fraer needed to push earlier to make the most of this. He gets one of the bunkers, but there are SCVs ready at the other one. There are 5 Marauders here. They just obliterate these Stalkers. Great Blink micro, though, coming out of Fraer. So aLive is actually going to start his concussive shells now. I think that's great for dealing with the Blink Stalkers. And the thing is, on one base versus one base, Terran players have mules, so they're always mining more than the Protoss player. Even worker count, even SCVs pulled to repair, but not too bad. And the Blink Micro is actually saving all of his Stalkers, but he needs to be careful. If these Marauders catch him without Blink, stims forward, manages to grab one of the Stalkers. The Marauders may be able to grab another. The concussive shell is not done yet. He needs to keep running. Another Stalker dies. And aLive is going to chase him away, but that factory is not yet complete. So without Stim, I don't really think he can afford to push into this. Dark Templar had made their way into the main base. The scan went down. One of the DTs still alive, though. The engineering bay not even yet started. He has 2 orbital commands, but he will not be able to drop another scan for about 10 seconds. So the energy is building up on the orbital command. We have a counter push going in for aLive. I think a couple defensive DTs would be really smart right now, but maybe he can't afford them just yet. He's going to try to just beat this with the Stalkers. The Marauders are going to stim forward. Meanwhile, this DT is getting 14 kills on it right now. 13, excuse me. And the Marauders are going to move up. He's not stimming. He has concussive shells, so he can kite all day. Managed to take out another one of those Marauders, though, and I think this defensive DT, very smart play. Engineering bay is complete. He's getting a missile turret in his mineral line. Very wise decision. But I think Fraer did a lot of damage with that, and he secured his natural expansion. So this was not bad at all. He's killed 19 SCVs. Look at the workers tab. It's 25 SCVs to 33 probes. So both players on 2 bases. The Protoss player has a standard probe count and lead. This is looking like a pretty normal game now. It's I wouldn't say any player has a direct lead. There's no real tech on the field for Fraer that can carry him into the late game. But I don't actually think there's a starport. Was that factory killed? Did the Dark Templar kill the factory? Oh my goodness. Wow, this is... I'm trying to find it, but wow, that was amazing, actually. Fraer's in a really good position to put some pressure on now. I'm not sure what the unit composition he has right now, but Zealots would be really difficult to deal with if he could get charged up using that Twilight Council that he has. But this is a very interesting position to be in. Without the factory, he can't get Stim. He can't really Stim because he won't have Medivacs. Every Stim is basically free AoE damage for Fraer. He's moving these units up into the main base to try to catch this Dark Templar, which has even more kills. And now he's just going to run here and kill even more SCVs. Really great. He needs to blink out of there. One of these Stalkers is barely going to get caught, but Fraer trying to minimize his losses. Now he's really just picking aLive apart with this micro. And aLive's going to run back and forth, stimming his units. Look at all of these units in the yellow, in the orange, the red. He can't afford to keep stimming like this. He needs to get a factory. He needs to get a starport and Medivacs, but he just can't afford what he needs right now. And we have a saturated second base for Fraer. So this is looking, this game's starting to really snowball for Fraer. The Dark Templar switch was exactly what he needed, going straight into the Dark Templar after his failed blink attack. This was, it brought him back into the game. But he's going really heavy Stalker, and versus Marauder, he's asking for it. He's getting a couple shots there, but he forces another Stim out of aLive. The factory is only now halfway done, so every Stim is really, really important. Forces another stim and runs away. A great play by Fraer. He's really drawing everything out of aLive. And I have to say now, I'm not so sure aLive could hold a push coming from Fraer now. We have a bunker being built by the barracks. And this Protoss army is just massing up. He actually has an Archon now, which are going to do great damage versus these already weak, all these Marines. It's like looking at a bag of Skittles with this variety of colors here. Moving into the natural expansion, going to focus down this command center. And I think this is going to be it for aLive. He's got to defend this. If he loses this command center, there's no way he can pull himself back into this game. He has a bunch of SCVs to repair this bunker. He's going to hold this off from now, but there's a pylon in the natural. He could push in whenever he wants to. Fraer looks like, oh, maybe I'll just take a third, very far away. He's going to move in towards the main base again. All he needs to do is let that Archon tank, or even just walk around the bunker. He's got a bunch of SCVs selected with this army group. But it looks like aLive is just going to try to go for it. He has the army surrounded, basically. He can't really leave his base now. He might try to blink out, but there we go. Actually manages to blink out just enough units, but more stims being forced out of these units. He has the starport on the way now. He has the reactor started, but is it a little bit too late? Being stuck on one base, his command center floated all the way to the top of his main, and these Stalkers is going to come in and put more pressure on. I will say there are no upgrades for Fraer. aLive has +1, manages to grab another Stalker, a second Stalker, forces another blink, and the Dark Templar is going to do a little bit more poking. Scan goes down, and in this position, those scans are so important for aLive. He really can't afford to keep scanning for these Dark Templar. They are becoming quite a nuisance. Dark Templar is going to head over to the natural, try to deny it again, but there's nothing there to deny. He shut down everything earlier. aLive is stuck. This is one of the worst positions to be in as a Terran player. He just doesn't have too much. He actually lost one of his barracks, so he can't actually produce that many more units. His Marauder production gets cut clean in half, and this Dark Templar is going to try to just go, possibly just kill this reactor or the starport. I think if he really wants to deny this, but it looks like Fraer's going to push in. This is not the best position. The factory really adding a nice choke point to this wall. The Marauders are dealing as much damage as they can, but they're so weak. The hit points on a lot of these units are so low. It's been really intense, and I have to say, though, aLive's doing a pretty decent job of staying alive, but I'm not so sure he's going to be able to come back and kill Fraer from this position. Fraer, I mean, at this point now, he can just on double forge, make sure he wins the game by getting the double upgrades. +1 armor is on the way for aLive, but the factory dies. The barracks are very low hit points. He is bringing the Archon and the Zealots forward. Does he have charge yet? He really needs to get charge, I think. Would help him finish this game off because the concussive shells are working so well. But the rest of the SCVs are going to be pulled. He's ready to try to just stop this. But the thing is, Fraer doesn't have to commit. The stims aren't going to be as drastic now, but some of these units were already so low health. There goes the stim. He's going to move in now. This Dark Templar adding in a lot of DPS to this army, and it looks like Fraer is just going to kill aLive now. All of the SCVs are dead. Those on a scan, kills the Dark Templar, but aLive has been backed into a corner. It looks like Fraer is going to come in here and grant the mercy kill to aLive, just finish him off. There's not too much left. There's a lot of Stalkers. These Marauders are not quite enough. They're strong, but not strong enough. And we see he's just going to get an amazing concave there, just blinking his units back still at the end of the game. GG from aLive. Fraer takes game number 3, and we'll go up 2-1 in this best-of-5 series. So that was a interesting decision making from Fraer, but you know, he did his build seemed really late. Like everything he did seemed a little bit interestingly timed, but it worked. He caught his opponent off guard, so it was really nice play, I have to say, by Fraer. Definitely. I wasn't expecting him to put as good of a fight up versus aLive, but now here we are. He's up 2-1. So that is game number 3. If Fraer takes the quick game number 4, and we see an end to this series, the next match is going to be Vortex versus aLive. So aLive, after this match, he's got another one. He needs to take this game, collect his thoughts, and then try to force this into an ace match so that he can go with a pretty strong you know, mindset into the second series that we're gonna have. So, well, I'll get you guys into the next game as soon as we can, but until then, just going to switch some music on, so catch you on the other side.